Hey, my name is Teal, aka The Book Mage, and welcome to my first ever book haul. I've actually been in a bit of a reading slump for a while, so I went a bit book buying crazy, so I think I have counted right, I think I have 21 books to haul for you today. So let's just get right into it. So the first two books that I hauled sort of at the end of December, beginning of January, were Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. I feel so far behind everyone else with this series, but like I'm finally getting close. I'm finally going to be able to finish this series really soon. I've actually already started reading and annotating my way through Tower of Dawn. I feel like everyone knows about this book series on BookTube, and I'm so close to finishing them. I'm so close. The next books in my haul are actually part of another series, and they are the entire Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. And that includes Malice, Valor, Ruin and Wrath. So I was just kind of browsing my way through Amazon, as you do, because like you can never have too many fantasy series on your shelf. And then I saw this one, and it seemed kind of like gritty and bloody, and do you know, just kind of in the mood for something like that. So luckily you could get like the whole series in a little box set, so that's what I did. And it was pretty cheap, actually, compared to buying them all separately. So let me just read the first part of the blurb for you. The banished lands have a violent past where armies of men and giants clashed in battle. An uneasy peace reigns, but now giants stir once more. The very stones weep blood, and there are sightings of gigantic worms. Those who can still read the signs see a prophecy realised. Sorrow will darken the world as angels and demons make it their battlefield. So I'm pretty sure this book series follows a young boy who's like about to become a man, and he's looking to become a warrior. I think he's just gonna sort of get thrust into all the middle of this pretty crazy, dark and gritty and bloody sounding world, and I expect this to be full of lots of bloody fights and battles, and you know, what more does a girl want in a book? So I'm sure these will keep me entertained for a fair while. The next book that I hauled is The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster Bujold. I've been trying to get a lot more into older fantasy, classic fantasy. Like, I like the new stuff, but a lot of the new fantasy tends to be like young adult, and there's a lot of romance. Not that that's not to be enjoyed in a fantasy book, but sometimes I just kind of feel like I want to read something a little bit more old school. So this story, I believe, follows a former like warrior slash lord who, through the schemings of someone else, has sort of been disgraced and possibly exiled, and he's come back to the land of his youth just looking for work to get by. Through some turn of events, he ends up finding himself tutoring the sister to the heir of the throne. But everything is not as it seems. He ends up having to confront the powerful forces that orchestrated his downfall, as well as confront this curse that hangs over the royal household. This just sounds like some really good classic old school fantasy, and I'm gonna admit, I really don't have enough fantasy books that are just about like washed up old men, and most fantasy books nowadays tend to be about like really beautiful young girls or like really hot young guys, and I just want to read about gritty washed up old men sometimes. Like, I just do. Fight me about it. This seems like a very sort of classic fantasy mystery. Plus, because it's so old and I think maybe out of print, I'm not entirely sure, it was really cheap, so I couldn't help but pick it up. Next in my little book haul is The Stolen Throne and The Calling by David Gader, the beautiful hardback special editions. I already own all the original paperback series of these books, but like, can you just like just look at the glory that is this beautiful special edition. Don't get me wrong, the paperback covers are really nice, but just look, it's shiny. And I think my favourite thing about these books is that they're meant to look like props from the game. Like, the actual books that you can find in the game, they have like the same sort of style around them, and it just means that if you want to do like a cosplay, you could use this book as a prop. I think it's so good. I really like how immersive they feel. They do have like the deckled edges, so, and like, did I mention one of the best bits? They're illustrated. So these are books based around the Dragon Age series of video games. So if you like role-playing video games, or you've played the Dragon Age games, maybe these beautiful illustrated special editions would be of interest to you. But I have a feeling that I don't feel like many people will be as excited about these as I am. But I mean, you can just appreciate how pretty they are. The next book that I picked up for myself was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. So this is a really well-known and much beloved fantasy story. I feel like a lot of people put this as like their #1 fantasy story, and I want to know why. I've actually been meaning to read this book for a while. It's been on my radar for a couple of years, but I just never got round to it. So this year I thought if I buy it and haul it, then I have it. I have no excuse. So I don't know much about the plot of this novel because I tend to like to keep those sort of spoilers at a minimum and just read what's written on the back. But in case you're not familiar with this already, let me read you the synopsis. I have stolen princesses back from sleeping Barrow Kings. I burned down the town of Trevon. I have spent the night with Felurian and left with both my sanity and my life. I was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. I tread paths by moonlight that others fear to speak of during day. I have talked to gods, loved women, and written songs that make the minstrels weep. My name is Kvothe. You may have heard of me. It sounds so intriguing. The next book that I have here is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I already mentioned that this was in my top 19 books to read in 2019. Again, I don't know the plot of this book because, like the last one, it just has a pretty vague introduction to the character on the back instead of like an actual synopsis of the plot. But from what I understand, I believe it follows a thief/rogue type character, which I have a soft spot for. And yeah, I have no idea of the plot other than it's a fantasy and I'm assuming it's going to be gritty, possibly low fantasy. I could be completely wrong. I have not read this yet, but I really intend to. One thing as well, when I got this, like, I'll put a picture here of what this cover is meant to look like, and I don't know if you can tell, but like all the towers are missing from the cover. I did check around and I think this is just like printing error. I think it happened to everyone's prints because I haven't seen a single picture of this book that actually had the tower. You can see it really vaguely, but I would prefer if my book came without half the cover missing, but what can you do? Alright, the next books I hauled this month were the whole Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. That includes Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. And now I get to open these. Ah, they're so shiny! They're so shiny! And fun fact, I actually got this whole trilogy for just under £6. I have no idea why they were sold so cheap. I don't get why they were so cheap, but that's the main reason that I picked these up. This is a series that I've heard mixed things about. I know everyone loves Leigh Bardugo for Six of Crows, and I think a new book has just come out. I've never read anything by Leigh Bardugo, and I really want to catch up. So I might even do like a reading vlog of these. I might even try and make it like, I don't know, I could probably read all these in 24 hours if I like didn't have distractions. But regardless, I really want to read these. Again, I have basically no idea what these are about, but I've heard good things about Leigh Bardugo. These are pretty short. I don't think it would take me very much to get through them. I mean, they're beautiful looking fantasy books, so like, why would I not haul them? I feel like it may be a little bit easy to guess what's coming now. So next in my rather extensive book haul is The Six of Crows duology, also by Leigh Bardugo. So I don't know if they've stopped printing the hardback editions of Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, but this was really hard to find. Like, I can't find Six of Crows in hardback on its own. And I know what you're thinking, because I do already have a copy of Six of Crows, a beautiful special collector's edition. And I haven't read this, and I have 2 copies of it. But hear me out. I bought this because, honestly, it was cheap and it was available, and I just heard good things about Six of Crows. But then I realised that if I got Crooked Kingdom, I'd want it to match next to Six of Crows on the bookshelf, and I don't know, it kind of does, but I really like the cover with the crow, to be honest. Just let me live my life. I don't know if I'm going to keep this flimsy box, but yeah, this is like one of the most beautiful books I've ever really seen. It's not shiny like the other one, but I freaking love crows and ravens and corvids of all type. They're like, I feel like my animagus form would be a corvid of some variety. And it just has these beautiful black sprayed edges. Is there anything on the inside cover? No, it's just, oh no there is, there's like a little crow. Oh, that's cute. Ooh. Okay, I'm not going to spend too long looking at this because I don't want spoilers for this series, but I'm really excited to read this. I know there's a lot of hype because there's a new book set in this universe coming out. Something Leigh Bardugo is happening on Netflix, possibly multiple things, and I just want to be a part of the hype, guys. I just want to feel involved. Like, did you expect me to not haul these? Okay, this next one's going to require a workout. Okay, so the next book that I hauled was The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. And if I take off this gross plastic, this is, oh, it's so pretty. Like, oh, look at the pages shine. These are like sprayed with metallic gold. It has a little silk red bookmark, and this, it's actually leather bound. This is the leather bound classic edition, and it's a bind up of Interview with the Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned, which are the first 3 novels in Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles. And I think these are like the definitive 3, but there's like a whole bunch more after this. Oh, look at that in a cover. Oh my god. I don't believe this is in print anymore because I had to buy this like from a Rare Books secondhand bookseller, and this took so freaking long to get to me. If you like a bit of like a sexy, brooding, beautifully written, very gothic tale about like old school vampires, then I would highly, highly, highly recommend this series. I hauled this because although I do already own a beautiful cover of Interview with the Vampire and a beautiful cover of The Vampire Lestat, I didn't own Queen of the Damned, and when I looked on Amazon to buy a copy of it, this came up, and like, I want to see this beautiful spine on my shelf. It's so pretty. I paid way too much for this. Way too much for this. But like, it's possibly one of my favourite series. I really like this cover, and it's leather. It's leather. I realise if you're vegan, maybe not the book for you. I think this is beautiful, and I had to have it. I couldn't resist picking this up when I saw it online. So the next books on my list I sort of purchased together, and those are The Language Construction Kit by Mark Rosenfelder and The Art of Language Invention by David J. Peterson. So, if you don't know, I'm writing my own series of books. Have been doing for a while. This isn't really news, but it's come time for me to revisit my conlang. And if you don't know what a conlang is, it's a constructed language. So because I'm writing a fantasy novel, I want to include at least a little bit of my own fictional language. So if you think like Quenya or Sindarin from The Lord of the Rings, or Dothraki or High Valyrian from Game of Thrones, even something like Klingon from Star Trek, these are all invented languages that somebody just sat down and made up. If you want to like actually have a proper well-functioning language, you need to do some studying for it. Okay, we're almost done. The penultimate book of this haul is The Binding by Bridget Collins, and I'm actually going to see Bridget Collins give a talk at my local bookshop tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to hope that this talk isn't full of spoilers. So this is a book that I've been hearing a lot about. I've been seeing it promoted online a huge deal, but I haven't really seen any other booktubers talking about this book, and I don't know why. Like, it's so beautiful inside, and like just look at this book. So the tagline for this book is, imagine you could erase your grief, imagine you could forget your pain, imagine you could hide a secret forever. I believe this story follows a young boy named Emmett who one day gets called to be the apprentice of a bookbinder, and in this world it's sort of semi-fantastical, and if there's something you want to forget, a memory you want to erase, you can go to a bookbinder, and I assume, I'm not sure how it works, I haven't read it yet, but it sounds like they somehow draw out your memory and form it into a book, and you leave none the wiser. What's that film, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? If you've seen that, I'm imagining it's a little bit like that. But one day while he is working as the apprentice for this bookbinder, he finds a book in the archives and it has his name on it, and he doesn't know why. He has no memory of what this memory could be. And it just sounds so intriguing. It sounds like vaguely historical but slightly fantastical fiction, possibly magical realism, and supposedly it's written so beautifully, and it apparently has like a gothic vibe to it, which is very much my thing, and like just look at it, just look at it. I really can't wait to read this, and I just don't know why I haven't heard more people talking about this. Like, it's all over Instagram, but it's nowhere on YouTube. Okay, and the last and final book that I hauled was The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I know, I don't have it with me. The reason I don't have it is it hasn't actually come out yet, but I did purchase this book. I actually pre-ordered it on Amazon, and then several weeks into my pre-order, I realised that Samantha Shannon herself is coming to do a 2-hour talk at my local bookshop the day after the book's release. And if you attend that book talk, you can get a signed hardback copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree. So immediately I booked my tickets for that talk, and I went ahead and cancelled my Amazon pre-order, even though it was a lot cheaper. Like, I want that signed copy. So that is why I do not have the book to show you right now. You're gonna have to forgive me for it not being like physically here in the video. But if you don't know what this book is about, I have been seeing this explode everywhere. Everyone is talking about this book. It is a huge, nearly 900-page behemoth of a great big hardback fantasy novel, and apparently it is filled with dragons, which is like one of my 3 favourite things in literature. So from what I've heard, it's a very feminist fantasy novel. I believe it follows 4 main female characters, and I believe there is also female-female romantic relations in this book. The fantastical land that we're set in also doesn't have kingdoms, it has queendoms. And aside from the fact that I don't know very much about the actual plot itself, the whole premise of just dragons and fighting dragons and dragon riders, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure about a lot of things in this video, but I think some of the characters in the books are anti-dragon or fighting the dragons, and then others I believe might be dragon riders, or I'm hoping, because I love dragons. I want to read so much about dragons, and there's a beautiful big blue dragon on the cover of this book. I'm just really ready for a gigantic, gay, feminist dragon fantasy book. Like, there's no word in that list of words that doesn't immediately like pique my interest, which is why it is the final book in my gigantic book haul. So that is it. There you have it. They were all the books that I hauled over like the past month. I don't really want to say it was a haul for January, because some of these I did buy at the end of December and we're now into February. But this was a lot of books, and I believe now it's that terrible moment where I'm gonna have to try and pick them up for a thumbnail. I genuinely don't think I can lift all these books. Okay. The books go from like my knees to my nose, so I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Before I drop them, this is what I'm trying to pick up. Somehow I don't see it happening. Oh my god. Hey. Oh no. I really can't manage with this stack of books. Oh my god, it's huge. Well, that's what happens when you try and take a stupid YouTube thumbnail. This is like half of them. Does this count? Well, that's not how I pictured this ending. So yeah, that was it. That was my haul. Thank you so much if you made it this far in the video. Please consider checking me out on Instagram and Twitter. I'll have all my social media linked down below. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go clean these up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was at least entertaining, and maybe I will see you in the next video. Peace out.